I've noticed a number of local game stores in my area introducing something called a POORCANA Day, where you have to come with a deck constructed of only commons and uncommons. I think this is kind of a neat idea to try to introduce some people who might be hesitant in coming to regular League days and getting absolutely stomped out by people who have teched out meta decks. So let me know in the comment section below what you think and if you have one of these in your area. Regardless though, this is the list that I decided to put together. We took it into the lab and we faced regular decks and we went 3-1, which is pretty good I think, against, like I said, regular decks. We're going to take a look at a couple of those matches in a second. The full deck list can be seen in the description on the Dreamborn link or pinned in the comments most likely, but I'm not going to go over each individual card. Instead, I just want to kind of talk about the concept and what this deck aims to accomplish, because you're not going to be playing this against like other meta decks usually, unless you really do want to get into the game and you want to spend almost no money, because I think you can buy this deck for essentially like 12 bucks US, so it's super cheap and it is actually half decent. But the concept around this is basically utilizing some of the evasive cards from Ruby and the removal from Ruby in order to quest for a lot and deal with some of the opponent's board. And then the Amethyst package is essentially just support and card draw. So on the evasive side, you have things like Mini, Pongo, and Goofy, and even Pascal on the 1-drop for Amethyst. And then for removal, you have things like Dragonfire and the Most Diabolical Scheme, which you can use with either of the Queen of Hearts, the Madam Mim, or the Maleficent. And then you also have some card draw in the Maleficent Sorceress, the Friends on the other side, and the Queen of Hearts Sensing Weakness, which pairs kind of well when you drop it and you have like multiple characters on board or an Elsa that you can tap down the opponent's card with and challenge it. Or if you already have a Queen of Hearts and you drop a Rafiki or a small Queen of Hearts, and then you can challenge and draw off that as well. If you watch any of my other videos, like my Floodborn Ruby videos, you know that I've used Queen of Hearts in that, and it's sometimes drawn me like 3 cards in a single turn. It can be absolutely crazy. And what's also nice about this is the other, I guess, meta POORCANA deck, air quotes, is like the Emerald Steel that utilizes some of the Emerald evasives like Tinkerbell and Ray. And you can utilize your own evasives with like Merlin Crab in order to beef up and give Challenger +3 to any of your evasives to instantly take out one of your opponent's evasives. So I think this version of the deck still kind of keeps the identity of Ruby Amethyst and being a control deck, but also a little bit more aggro focused with all the evasive threats. So let's go ahead and take a look at some gameplay. So in this first matchup here, we do end up going first, which is always nice. We're going to put back 2 of our uninkable actions because we want to do our best to play on curve. Rafiki is always great in the opening hand, so if it's one uninkable that you keep, I think it would be that. You could make the argument that you want to aggressively mulligan for a 1-drop, but I don't think it's absolutely needed. While this is an aggro deck and you want to do your best to put a lot of pressure on your opponent, as long as you can play like turn 2 and turn 3, you should be okay with sacrificing the turn 1 drop. Unless you open with like a Madam Mim Snake and you want to keep it, then you do definitely want to try to get a 1-drop that you can utilize with the Snake. Regardless though, we end up playing a Queen on turn 2, and unfortunately the opponent rightfully punishes us by using a Fire the Cannons. They drop double hooks and I'm like, okay, you only got 4 cards left in your hand, but you are on steel. I end up inking a Maleficent here and dropping a Rafiki because this Rafiki will trade 2 for 1 in, you know, the essence of Maui here, because we were able to take out the hook, and if the opponent wants to challenge our Rafiki with their own hook, then it will have taken out 2 threats for the single card of the Rafiki, and that's always nice. The opponent does indeed trade off and then drop a Cheshire Cat. We are going to hard cast a Friends on the other side and ink one of our 2 crabs and simply just pass the turn. So we're doing our best to try to keep up on advantage. We do have a turn 5 drop on a Queen and then turn 6 potentially dropping a Rafiki to draw. So we're looking okay. I do have to be wary of the opponent being on a whole new world, which again in a POORCANA meta you won't have to worry about since that is super rare, as is this Hans, and the opponent's already inked the Beast Tragic Hero too, I think. So, you know, we're definitely up against it here. But the opponent is establishing quite a decent board, and they do drop the Beast Tragic Hero, the best legendary in the game in my opinion, and we're in a little bit of trouble here. So we're going to opt to try to do our best to control the board in essence of what Ruby Amethyst is. And we're going to use the Rafiki first of all to challenge and take out the Cheshire Cat, which will take out the Rafiki. We do draw off the Queen of Hearts. And then we're going to go ahead and try and sing the Most Diabolical Scheme. Yes, this card is a song, so it is nice that it can be sung by anything 3 or above. And I can banish my Queen of Hearts, unfortunately, but I do got to get rid of that Beast Tragic Hero because the advantage that is generated off of that is crazy. We can follow up though with a Mini, which is always nice because we sung the Most Diabolical Scheme. And the opponent reveals a Beast Relentless now. And with the Hans, they're going to be able to ready this thing up and quest for a lot. Thankfully, we top deck a Dragonfire here. And I do have a Mim Snake that I can refresh the damage off the Mini from. I probably should not ink that goat, but I end up doing it in order to just get the mini back a turn sooner. Which I guess is okay because being a 3/3 body, you can see that Hans is not going to quest because they know I'll instantly trade into it with the Mim Snake. We drop another mini Surfer though, so we drew into one and we drop two. And this is the pressure. This is what the deck does. You just want to draw those evasives, whether it's the mini, the Pongos, the Goofies. You just want to drop them and start putting damage, or not damage, sorry, lore on the board. The opponent top decks a Robin Hood and a Beast Tragic Hero though, so that's really bad because now they're going to generate some advantage off of that. They're going to opt to double ping the mini mouse here, threatening to take it out next turn, but thankfully we have another Mim Snake in order to save our mini mouse here. So our Mim Snake on field is going to take out the Robin Hood because our Mim Snake would survive, and if the opponent wants to trade with the Mim Snake next turn, they're more than welcome to throw their Hans into it. But we're going to drop a goat as well. The opponent is going to draw two off of the Beast Tragic Hero, but at this point I am just going to try to outquest them because with Steel there's not much that they can do to remove multiple threats unless they draw the Grab Your Swords and the Tinkerbell for the board wipe, and so the opponent just ends up scooping it up. In this next matchup here, we are going second, and the opponent is on Amber to start. We draw into a Pascal, which is nice. We're going to ink the Goofy since we're very far away from 5 turns right now, and we're going to drop the Pascal. The opponent, I think, inks another Amber card there. I didn't even see what it was. But they play... Oh, this is the Princess deck that I faced. Okay, they drop an Aurora, which is a bit of a threat as a 2-quester. And we're going to go ahead and preemptively drop our Queen of Hearts. Probably not the best, but, you know, if I do draw into a Sensing Weakness, I can shift it and then just get some instant value if I do want to challenge anything. They turn 3 shift Aurora, which is very interesting. They quest for 2. We're going to keep questing with the Pascal. Being evasive, it is protected. And this color combination, they don't really have removal. Like you saw them ink the World's Greatest Criminal Mind at the start. But other than that, like they don't really have too much else. So they got to rely on challenging. So with that in mind, I'm going to sing Friends on the Other Side with my Maleficent, quest with my Pascal, and then just drop my shield in case I do want to ready things up to protect them in the future. Like I said, because this color combination essentially relies on challenging. It looks like right now, though, they're just simply wanting to race me. They're at 9 lore. They got a lot of big questers on board, but we do have double Dragonfire, so we're going to start by eliminating the Aurora, which we have to do. And then, unfortunately, I'm just like, well, this Moana is technically a problem. The opponent is only on 2 cards, so I'm just going to opt to throw everything into it. I take 1 damage on all of my characters, and my Pascal trades off in order to get that Moana off the field. Now they only have a Jasmine. The opponent is clearly kind of bricked up on stuff. Maybe I think they have like Just-in-Times in hand or something, most likely. So all they're able to do is quest with the Jasmine. We're going to put even more pressure on board. Should not be inking the goat again, but I do. We drop the Rafiki to trade directly with the Jasmine, and now we have 4 cards on board to the opponent's 0, and we're questing for 5 there actually, because mini quest for 2. The opponent has yet another Lantern, and then they just pass, so no characters to play apparently. We're going to go ahead and make a misplay and not questing with our Maleficent first before bouncing it back to hand with the Mim Snake, but we recast the Maleficent in order to draw a card. And at this point I'm not inking, so I'm like, yeah, the opponent clearly can't deal with this, so I'm just going to put as much pressure on as possible, and I just dropped the Sergeant Tibbs. Next turn I got a Goofy or a Dragonfire for whatever the opponent might have. Yeah, and they kind of show me that they have Just-in-Times. They can't do anything with those in hand, right? So we're going to drop the Goofy, like I said, and that's going to be pretty much all she wrote for this match because the opponent can't mass remove my board, and we're going to win next turn. So they just pass. I just Dragonfire away the Aurora, and then I ink the Queen of Hearts for, again, no reason whatsoever, quest and take the game. In this final matchup here, we're going first, which is nice. We're going to go ahead and ink the Tibbs because I think I'd rather play a Pascal, just again to get a lot of pressure on board as quickly as possible. This opponent drops a Felicia, which is interesting, and I'm like, okay, that's good to know. For some reason, I was running the Owl in this deck. I don't remember, maybe I put in like 2 Tibbs and 2 Owls or something, but or like 1 Owl or 2, I don't know what I did, but yeah, you definitely just need 3 of the 1, 2, 2s. But anyways, the only reason we drop Owl is so that Pascal would be protected from the Felicia challenge. And we can always bounce it back with the Mim Snake if we want as well. But we're going to force the opponent to throw their Felicia into the Owl there by questing. And we have some pretty good advantage. The opponent does reveal Shere Khan, which means they're going to start getting lore off of every challenge, which isn't great. But we should still be able to manage okay here. The opponent is going to quest with their Flynn and pass. We draw a Pongo, and again, in a POORCANA environment, Pongo would be decent, But in this environment, Pongo just gets outed by too many things, so I'm just going to go ahead and ink it after dropping Mim Snake and playing Shield. And we bounced back, I believe, Maleficent Sorcerer, so we can redraw again next turn. The opponent reveals, like, yeah, they're on like some kind of challenge deck, because I think that Rhea readies itself when it challenges or something, or when it banishes a character, and it can like re-challenge, so they can get like multiple lore. We're going to go ahead and drop the Queen of Hearts, though, and take out the Flynn Rider, so that we draw a card, and then Pascal is going to quest. So our Queen of Hearts here is pretty useful because it will draw us a lot of cards if the opponent leaves it on field, and it looks like they are doing that. They're going to gain lore off the Queen challenge on my Snake, and they're just going to pass without questing because they don't want to give me value off of the Queen of Hearts. So we're going to take advantage of the passive play here and drop an evasive threat in the Minnie Mouse. The opponent is going to shift the Rhea, which is kind of interesting here, and then just pass because, again, they are afraid of my Queen of Hearts drawing multiple cards. We're going to Dragonfire away that Floodborn Rhea, and then we're going to quest with our evasives, and it's 4 to 10 already. The opponent finally has a way to deal with my Queen of Hearts, and will they quest with their Shere Khan? They do, because they realize they got to start clawing back some advantage. We're going to go ahead and quest with our Minnie Mouse, and then we're finally going to let our Pascal go by trading it off with the Shere Khan here. And it's like 4 cards to 1, so we're looking pretty good here. We pass after readying up the Mini, which again doesn't really do anything. The opponent drops a Beast Relentless though, which is very nice. And I don't want them to generate anything off of this, so we're just going to go ahead and drop the Queen of Hearts and... oh, pass. Okay, we're not going to most diabolical scheme them, I guess. Yeah, they do Dragonfire away the Mini Surfer, which is unfortunate. And they do end up questing with the Beast here. So again, using Shield there was like completely useless. We are going to quest with the Queen and then diabolical scheme it away in order to banish the Beast. And we're probably going to drop the Rafiki to use up the rest of our ink. So now it's 3 cards to 2. The opponent drops the evasive Tinkerbell, which is kind of interesting here. If only we can draw one of our evasives and our crab, we would be good. And sure enough, there it is. We draw the Pongo and we quest with the Rafiki, and I just passed there. I probably should have played out Snake and bounced back to Rafiki because Rafiki has Rush, so why not do that? But Rafiki still goes 2 for 1 here. It ends up trading with the Queen and the Flynn Rider, and the opponent isn't going to be able to do enough with just this Tinkerbell in order to catch up. So we put lethal on board. Well, I mean, we didn't even need to play the Queen, but the Pongo itself will quest for game next turn if the opponent can't deal with it. And I don't think they can. Yeah, they reveal the Rhea, and that's going to be a GG. So not the most competitive matches, but, you know, showing that this deck can still beat other decks in the format that are using rares and supers and legendaries. Pretty cool. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you made it this far, thank you again for watching. Quantum is out.